Custom transformation and custom report transformation are the two transformations that we have in Workday. Custom transformation requires you to write an XSLT code to do any kind of formatting changes, any kind of data transformations, any kind of data format, data filters and all can be performed through custom transformation where you would be needing to write an XSLT. Okay. XSLT is a program that actually compiles with Workday. Okay, so as you know that every integration or every data, whatever data that has to come outside of Workday, that has to be in a format which other system will be accepting, right? So Workday will be generating a default output format called XML. And to transform XML data to any other file format, to any other data format, XSLT is the only programming language that transforms the XML data. XSLT is nothing but extensive style sheet language transformation, okay, which transforms XML to any other file format, or you can actually write any kind of conditions, logics in XSLT to manipulate any kind of data. The same you can do in calculated fields also. If you're able to handle things in calculated field, then your XSLT will not be complex. If you're not able to handle things in in calculated fields, then you have to handle the things in XSLT. XSLT is a programming language. We will not be covering anything on XSLT here because XSLT is a language that comes with programming experience. Okay. So if you have any kind of programming experience, that would be easy for you to take XSLT as a kind of understanding. If you're not familiar with any kind of programming, that's okay. So there are a lot of other ways to actually transform data without XSLT also, which we'll be covering in this session. Okay. But XSLT is something, which if you wanted to become a kind of technical, savvy technical developer, take care of all the technical engagements, then you need to get familiar with XSLT. If that is the case, start exploring XSLT, know how you can define XSLT things and all. There are a lot of portals. We have w3schools.com, tutorials.com, and Stack Overflow web portals. So all these are the portals, which will be having all the basics of programming languages. You can get into those portals and learn XSLT, XML, these things, which will be helpful for you to handle anything in Workday technical areas. So, as I was referring, EIB is one of the integration that we have in Workday. Most of the integrations will be performed with EIB. Okay. 80% of integrations are covered in Workday with EIB. Because almost all the integration requirements that we will be getting are straightforward. Only few requirements will not be straight, where we need to think of outside of the box. So EIB can deliver the data from one source to another destination point. Okay. So it can actually pick data from one source, which is custom report. It can actually pick the data from one custom report and deliver the data to one endpoint. Okay. It cannot pull the data from multiple reports, and it cannot deliver data to multiple endpoints. That is one of the limitations that we have with the EIB. Okay. EIB cannot send data to multiple target systems. EIB cannot pull data from multiple reports. So that is one of the limitations that we have when you have such kind of a requirement that data has to be integrated to multiple systems. Your EIB will not work in such scenarios. Okay. Then you need to think other integration type. And when your data source, when your custom report that you are attaching to EIB is of huge size, where the data is more than 400 MB, then your EIB will not be able to process that file because the data is huge. The maximum data that EIB can process is 400 MB. Okay. Outside of that, your EIB will not be able to process, and you will be getting a message saying that data source volume is high. Please convert your EIB to any other custom integrations. So you'll be getting a kind of warning message from Workday saying that volume is huge. So when your data source volume is huge, then your EIB might not work. You need to think of other integration type. Okay, and any other conditional logics that you wanted to add, your integration has to run with conditions, logics, expressions, and all. Then in that scenario, your EIB might not work. Example, EIB inbound. Okay, so EIB inbound is there, and benefits data. Let's take, you wanted to update all the benefits to an employee. Okay, so if it is one time, your EIB inbound will work. If it is yearly 2 times, manually you can actually fill the EIB template and update benefits to an employee. But if it is everyday file, every day you'll be getting a few benefits that has to update to employee. So if that is the case, every day it's manual efforts for you, right? Manually you need to copy the data from the file that you are getting, update into EIB template and load it. Every day is a kind of manual efforts that you need to keep. In that scenario, if it is a recurring thing, you can automate things. Okay, you can build a custom integration, picking the file from external system, transform the file into XML, and load the file into Workday. So this is the kind of something we need to do outside of the box. A custom integration you need to build where EIB is failing to fulfill the requirement. Okay, so in certain cases, EIB will not be working efficiently on certain requirements. So which I already said, one is sending data to multiple systems, pulling the data from multiple systems, EIB cannot do. And data volume, when data volume is huge, EIB cannot process the data. And when data has to be loaded conditionally, your EIB will not be working. So in that scenarios, you need to think of different integration systems. Okay. And other than this, in all the other requirements, EIB meets the criteria and EIB will be able to perform data transformation and data loads to external systems. Okay. And that is the reason why we say that 80 to 85% of all the integrations are managed by EIB, because almost all the requirements that we'll be getting on integrations are straightforward. Okay. Any questions still here? Any questions? Anything not clear? What we'll do first? We'll do inbound or outbound? Let's do inbound. Okay. What is inbound integration? Tell me. EIB inbound is nothing but which actually performs through templates. Okay. So Workday will be providing a predefined templates called web service spreadsheet templates. Okay. So those web service spreadsheet templates will be having the data and that will be loaded into Workday. Other than that, there is no other way that you can actually load without web service. Web service is something which actually accesses the data and loads the data into Workday. Without web service, you cannot load the data into Workday in any area. In any area, you need to have a web service through which you need to load the data into Workday. Okay. Web service is an important area to accept the data and load that into Workday. Okay. So now we'll try to create an EIB and generate a template, enter the data, load the data into Workday. So I think in the beginning of this session, you might have seen we've created supervisory organizations, multiple supervisory organizations manually, right? So when you have a requirement that your company is acquiring another company and you need to load bulk amount of supervisory organizations into Workday. Okay. Then you manually cannot create all those supervisory organizations, right? You need to actually use an EIB to load those supervisory organizations into Workday. Okay. So we'll try to create supervisory organizations through EIB now. We'll see how that works. Create EIB is a task which you need to use. Add supervisory organizations is the name that I have given. Inbound I'm selecting. Once you get into integration definition page, you'll be seeing these options. Okay. One is get data, from where you are getting the data. Transform, for inbound integration, there will be no transform. No need of adding this one. And deliver, how we are going to deliver this data. So that is one thing you'll be doing, will be coming from get data. So from where you are getting the file. So we are attaching the file when we are launching the integration. So that is the default option that you need to select when you are actually updating. So the default option that you'll be selecting is attach file at launch, which means that you will be attaching the spreadsheet template when you are launching the integration. Okay. So this is the only option that you'll be selecting, and all these are the options are required when you are getting the file from outside. Okay. When your EIB template is placed in these servers and your EIB has to pick, in that scenario, you'll be choosing these options. But in most of the cases, you'll be using attach file at launch, which would be easy for you to fix the issue. So we'll be seeing the process now, and I'll let you know why we will be not using these options. Attach file at launch is one of the options that you'll be selecting, which means that you'll be generating a file now, inputting the data, and when you're running the integration, you'll be attaching the file to load the data into Workday. Okay, that is the expectation of this option. Web service option. What is the template that you wanted to load into Workday? I wanted to actually create supervisory organizations. Chosen the web service called add update organizations, which will be adding supervisory organizations into Workday, and also you can update existing organizations with this template. That's it. Once you select the web service spreadsheet template, that's all the maximum you'll be doing. Automatically, your template model will get added here. Transformation thing. Deliver automatically through web service spreadsheet template. You are loading the data into Workday. Automatically, that will be added to that. That's it. You have configured your integration. Click on OK. You're ready to load the data into Workday, but you need to have the spreadsheet, right? Once you have that spreadsheet, you will be able to input the data into that and will be loading that. To generate a spreadsheet template, go to related actions of EIB. Template model, generate spreadsheet template. Click on this, submit. You will be getting template in the output file, and also you'll be getting template in the notifications. Okay. So you got notification generated, that template has got generated. Okay. I'll be taking this template. This is the template for creating supervisory organizations. Okay. And you would have remembered that when you're creating a supervisory organization, whatever options that you are being asked to create a supervisory organization, same options you'll be seeing here. If you're familiar in creating a supervisory organization manually, then I think you will be good to add supervisory organizations through this template. Okay. Spreadsheet key is nothing but a row number, which is mandatory for creating any kind of EIB templates. Okay. I'll be creating 5 supervisor organizations. So I'm giving 5 rows here. Effective date, I'll give from yesterday, 2022, month 12, date 11. So under which organization that I wanted to create, I'll be choosing now. This is one of the organizations that I've created. So I'll be creating supervisor organization under this supervisor organization. Okay. So we currently have reporting and analytics and workday security. I'll add few more organizations through EIB under this organization. Okay. Organization name, I'll be giving Workday testing Workday help desk automation testing. Workday database support. Workday solutions. Okay. These are the 5 supervisor organizations that I wanted to create under Robert's organization that already there in the system. Availability date, I'll give the same date. Same options, whatever you have seen when you are creating a supervisor organization, you will be having the same options here. Include leader name in the supervisor organizations. We obviously need to have that. And position management. Superior organization. This is important when you're actually updating the EIB. This is important. Superior organization. What superior organization that you wanted to attach? Superior can be for company, for cost center, for all the organizations. Superior can be what superior organization that you wanted to add here. You need to mention that one. Go to the drop down and select. If you are creating company, this template will be creating companies also. This is something but organization. All the organizations can be created with this template. You can create a company, you can create company hierarchy, you can create cost center hierarchy, supervisory, all the organizations you can actually create or update with this EIB template. Okay. So now it is asking reference ID for superior organization. Okay. So I don't want cost center, I don't want company, I don't want region. I wanted to have supervisor organization reference ID because I'm creating a supervisor organization. I've selected organization reference ID. So this is organization reference ID. So which you need to have it in the EIB template, or you can go to related actions, integration IDs, view IDs. You'll be having the same reference ID here, which you can pick and add that in EIB template. Organization type. If you remember, when you're creating a supervisor organization type would be, what is the organization type? The supervisor organization, supervisory would be the organization type actually. Organization subtype would be department. Okay. Whatever you manually created, the same options you need to add here. Organization visibility would be everyone. Location. Location. You can take the reference area of location. Okay. So that is all you need to know how to actually fill the EIB template. Okay. So whatever details are required for creating a supervisory organization, I think we are almost given all those details. If there are any errors, EIB will throw an error. There are no errors, these organizations will be creating successfully. So now go to EIB. Oh, what is the EIB? We move out of the screen. This is the EIB that we created. So now we will be adding the template that we added with the data. This is the data template that we created, right? We will be adding this to the integration. See how this loads. For integration, launch, these are the options that you need to be aware of when you are loading data into Workday through EIB inbound integration. Integration attachment is what we'll be adding the attachment which we have created. Okay, and you can actually add this, drag and drop what we have created. That will be added here. I just drag and drop from my downloads to that area and then automatically add it. And these options are important for you to know. Okay. Load error limit and validate only load. Load error limit by default, you'll be seeing unlimited will be automatically coming up, which means that it actually loads data considering unlimited errors. Let's say if you are having 100 rows of data that you are loading into Workday, and if you are selecting an option called unlimited, it will not look for any number of errors. If let's say 100 rows, 90 records have errors and 10 records have no errors. Still your EIB does that. It will process 100 records and it will fail 90 rows of data with errors. So because since you have given unlimited, it will not restrict number of errors. It will complete all the errors and number of records, whatever that are there, it will process all the number of records. But if we give 10, in the place of 10, if we give 10, in the place of unlimited, if we give 10, what it will do? If you're having 100 rows of data and 90 rows have errors, it will run and process only 10 errors and stop loading the data. So it will look for, it will limit 10 errors and fails the integration, saying that because we are limiting 10 errors here. Okay, we are limiting 10 errors. So with the 10 errors, it will process and it will fail, saying that there are errors with this 10 records. If we give 5, it will fail it after processing 5th error. If you are giving 1, the moment first error triggers, the EIB will be failing, saying that there is an error. So load error limit is nothing but which limits the errors that you are actually having in the file. Okay. So by default, unlimited will be selected, and the purpose of unlimited is it will not look for any number of errors. It will fail and it will read all the records in Workday and loads them into Workday. So by default, you will be selecting unlimited. Validate only load. Okay. Validate only load is nothing but when you are loading the file, okay, which consists of errors. Let's say now I have this file. Okay. Or let me run this file. After that, I'll try to have some corrections. We'll see how errors will be populated. Validate only load is nothing but which validates the file before loading the data. Okay. It validates the file. It will say you the errors. Then you can fix those errors and again validate them. If there are no errors, and check this checkbox and load the data. To validate the file, you need to check this checkbox so that when you're running an EIB, EIB will validate this file and identify any errors. If there are no errors, it will be completing successfully. If there are errors, it will populate those errors. Unless you uncheck this one and load that, your data will not be loaded. When you check this checkbox, your data will not be loaded, but it will be a kind of scan. Okay, your file will be scanned with all the data, errors, or any kind of data things. It will be identifying those issues and will be letting you know. Okay, so validate only load and load error limit are important options that you need to know before you load data into Workday. Okay, validate only mode will just validate the file and does not load the data into Workday. So now I'm trying to load the data into Workday. I've selected validate only mode. Even if there are no errors, file will not be loaded into Workday. We'll just validate the file. Total records processed 5 and total records 5. There are no errors coming. There are no failed records. Okay. Which means that all the data that we have in the template have no errors. Now let's say I'll add some invalid data to here this. I add incorrect data. Amit. Okay. So which is nothing but incorrect. So now here EIB should throw an error. And I wanted to validate to know if there are any errors in the file. I don't want to load this without any clarity that there are no errors. I'll update this. Okay. So now I've added the file that has invalid data. I still don't want to uncheck this one because I wanted to see how the errors will be populated and then fix those errors, uncheck this one and load the data into Workday. Okay. Now you see total failed records 3 and total records processed 2 amount 5 because we entered invalid data. You can see the error sheet. This would be the error sheet populating saying that Amit is not a valid ID for organization reference ID. Hence, your failed records will be populated. Okay. So generally, you'll be getting these kind of errors. If there are any kind of data issues, since now we are actually having limited data, that's easy for us to identify now. So let's say if you have around 500 or 600 rows of data, okay, and somewhere you got 60 or 70 records with errors. Okay, if you're actually loading the data into Workday without validation mode, other than 70 error records, the other records will be getting loaded. But it's a kind of manual efforts for you to actually exclude those 70 records and fix those data errors and remove all the errors all the records that has got processed successfully, and again replace the 70 records without errors and reload that again. That's a kind of huge manual efforts, right? So it will be efforts you will have. You need to put more efforts. But if you are selecting validate only mode, it will be giving you errors, but it will not be loaded into Workday. Then you can fix those errors wherever you're identified to fix those. You'll be fixing those, and you'll be reloading the data into Workday, which doesn't have any errors. So validate only mode is the option. That is an important option that you need to know how to actually use that one. So now I'm going to fix this issue. Now, since I fixed the error, I'm sure that we don't have any errors. So I'm unchecking this checkbox with which data will be loaded into Workday. Okay. And before I do that, I'll validate the organization, Robert Williams organizations, to see if it has any okay. I don't see any organizations. Now, once I load this, it will be seen. Total records processed 5 without any errors. Okay. Now, EIB is completed without any errors, where we should be seeing organizations are loaded into Workday. You can see organizations are added to this one. Okay. Automation, day-to-day support, help desk, and what is the other ones? Testing solutions. Is already there. Let's go to our chat and see what I've created. Okay. You can see all the organizations that we have created, Workday solutions. Workday solutions is there. Day-to-day is there. Patient testing is there. And help desk is there. So all the organizations that we have created under Robert Williams has got created through EIB. That's how you typically will be managing data. Okay. So this can be done through when you're actually doing the acquisitions, when you're actually managing any kind of huge bulk load, you will be using EIB inbound. Okay. And EIB inbound is not only used for internal data loads, but also for external data loads, which is typically called as data conversions. The data conversions, data transformations, we typically called as when you have such kind of data transformation and data conversion requirements also, you will be using EIB inbound integration. EIB inbound is for customers. Okay. When you're actually working for customer organizations, you will be using Workday inbound, EIB inbound to load the data into Workday. But if you're working for a partner organization, you will be using a tool called iLoads. Okay. If you're working, if you're certified Workday consultant, and if you're working for a Workday implementation partner company, you will be using a tool called iLoads to load the data into Workday. So iLoads will be accessed by only implementation partners, not for Workday customer company resources. If you are working for customer organizations, you will be working on EIB inbounds to load the data into Workday. Okay. Clear on this? Any questions so far? So the same whatever manual activities that you have performed so far, you would have created supervisor organizations, you would have created positions, you would have created, what else you would have created? You would have created courses, a lot of things, you've created manually, right? All those things can be automated through EIB modes. So go ahead and do whatever you manually created. So you would have created all these things, right? Positions, courses, supervisor organizations, subordinate organizations, locations, and all. So go ahead and generate those EIB templates, load the data, input the data as how I've given there, input the data and load that into Workday. And you should be seeing all those positions, supervisor organizations, and the courses will be created in Workday through EIB template.